don't want to manifest anything. But obviously, with any type of athlete's career, it's all dependent on their physical abilities. So the fact that they're setting up themselves to be successful and wealthy, whether Steph's playing basketball or not, I think is a great takeaway. And I mean, again, restaurant industry, Lord knows COVID hits, they got to close it down. Like no matter what, they have multiple streams, I think, set up for themselves. And I think that that's probably the biggest takeaway.
All right, we're out. We're so close. We're so close to having a full new transition. I can taste it. I can smell it. All right. But again, welcome back to the M4 show. We're about to talk about Stephen and Ayesha Curry. If we can put up graphic number 1, you are amazing. But that is graphic number 2. We're gonna get into that one in a second. Put up graphic number 1 for me. Queen.
Yes.
When and where did Stephen and Ayesha Curry meet?
Oh, they first met in a church. I was like, am I supposed to know this?
Pop quiz.
They first met at church at ages 14 and 15, in Charlotte. I don't know if I'm supposed to expand on that further, but they met in a youth group at church.
Met a youth group at church, 15, 14 years old.
Youngins,
right? I'm sure y'all know Stephen Curry later on became a NBA star, and Ayesha went out to LA to pursue her career in acting. How they kind of got back together one day, Stephen Curry was out in LA and he was like, don't I got like a friend out here or something, someone I used to go to high school with? And then he hit her up. They had a nice kind of friendly day out on the town. They hit the town, Sinclair, right? And then they were able to kind of rekindle their friendship and ultimately their romance as well, right? So you can take that down for us, Jair. Much appreciated. But the things I want to kind of go through within this, the beginning of their relationship, is number 1, they met at 15 and 14 years old.
Kids.
Right? As kids.
Yeah.
So how does that play into the love story in your opinion? Right? Just the fact that they met each other such a young age.
To me, that in the love story, that just means they've grown up together. And I even think about comparing it to ourselves, meeting at 17 and 18, older, but still very young. Very young. And so that's something that I think we've been able to do is like literally we look back and be like, we were kids, literally kids, and we've grown a lot together. So I can imagine being even younger at 14 and 15, they really did get to kind of grow up, with each other. And I almost think they really have a really nice story in terms of like, they weren't like together right away. They were friends and then like they got to grow up a little bit and then meet when they were older.
Right.
So I feel like they were probably different people when they were older, more grown, more mature, whatever, experience a little bit more life separately before they got together, romantically, which I think is a cool part of their story.
100%.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll maybe sprinkle on that is the fact that they were able to meet 14, 15 years old and they met at a church group.
Yeah.
Right. So they were able to meet within a place where you would assume people have similar values. And I would assume that their parents also had similar cultures or upbringing because they both made those parental decisions to put them in this church group. Right. Yeah. So kind of how that bounces back to anyone out there trying to look for love. It's like, how can you, one, see who's in around you, who can you grow up with? Even if you're 30 years old, you're 40 years old, there's still some development that can be done. Right. So how can you put yourself into groups where you're around like-minded individuals, people who have similar values to you, where you can meet someone that you can now grow with? That's kind of what I took from it.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like I feel like if you are like, I don't want to say on the pursuit, but if you're, actively looking, or if you are kind of open to finding that love and you haven't found it yet, I think that's typically a good place to start is like, just find a community if you're not a part of one already. Because if you are a part of a community and you meet somebody else who's a part of that community, you already have at least one thing in common. And again, if it's something that you very much identify with, like a church group, or a running group, or what, literally whatever it is,
Mhm.
you have something to talk about right away, but you also have a common interest, and that can be a good foundation for further conversation, and for you to actually be able to see each other on a regular basis.
Facts. And I think another layer on that, Queen. Let me know if you rock with this. All right. You ever let me know if you rock with this?
I will let you know.
You'll let me know.
I'll
Okay.
let you know.
All right. Appreciate you. The fact that they had that common foundation, but in their story, they both went to different places.
Hmm.
Right. They both literally, and to this day, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later, but they had their own separate identities. I think it could have been very easy. I'm sure Steph was popping in high school. Like, I'm sure he
Hmm.
was a good basketball
Hmm.
player. So I feel like it could have been easy for her to be like, "Oh, Steph, you're about to go this place to college. I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna latch on."
Hmm.
That's not what happened, right? They were just friends. She left, she bounced, and she went to LA. She's like, "I'm about to be a star.
Right.
Whatever you're doing, I'm about to be a star."
Yeah.
Right? Even today, again, she's doing her own thing. But eventually, they came back together as friends.
Hmm.
Another major key, as friends, built that foundation up, and then built the family. So I love yeah, kind of like you said, like the separation.
Hmm.
We're gonna grow separately, and then we're gonna come together, then we're gonna grow together as
Right.
well. Yeah,
Right.
it's dope. So we have a clip, right? So we're gonna cue that clip up, but it's Stephen Curry.
Hmm.
I don't know why Stephen just sounds wrong to me. Stephen Curry, Steph Curry. I feel like no one calls him Stephen.
And I feel like it's not a common. You hear Steven a lot. You don't hear Stefan very
No,
often. So
I
I
met a
feel like,
Stefan this weekend,
oh,
but
did
yeah,
you?
I did, and it was uncomfortable to say his name.
I feel like that's why. It's just because you're used to pronouncing the
Steven.
same word another way.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I know I'm saying it wrong.
Like Devin just sounds wrong to
Oh
me. No.
gosh, yeah. So when I meet Devins, I'm like, are you sure your name is Devin?
Are you
Are
sure
you are
your
you sure?
name's
Are
Devin?
you sure? How you spell it? But we're gonna go ahead and cue that video up. Is with Stephen Curry on All the Smoke podcast. It was a pretty good podcast. Respect what they're doing over there. A lot of good stuff. But he kind of talks
At
about
15
their relationship.
and having a public relate. We had D Wade and we spoke to D Wade, about a public relationship. And your wife is obviously blazing her own path. But tell me what that's like. Obviously
Mm.
a childhood love that's transitioned into a beautiful marriage with a family,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the prototypical, like, this is like the new family. The
Mm-hmm.
Currys are a power movement. Tell me what
Y'all
that's
setting the
like.
standard. Which is wild to say because I'm just living my life, man.
Man, you know
Like
you
that.
saw that.
I
You
know.
know you saw it over Instagram. Better get you Ayesha Curry.
I was,
Better get you Ayesha Curry. I know you saw that all over Instagram. I know that
right.
had to feel
I
good.
was like, I got me one, but like,
Yeah.
You got D1.
You got DY. Yeah, yeah.
but it's weird. It's wild because like I was talking about as my dad, my mom, how they raised us. Her parents the same. Like there's always perspective, right? And I grew up in the NBA, but I was just a kid, man, and I had a really cool childhood experience. Like 15, I meet Aisha. We're not dating in high school, but we talk a little bit. And fast forward, what, 4 years? I'm out in LA at the ESPYS because we just made our tournament run, and this is me and my dad flying from Charlotte. I'd never been to LA before. Out here for the ESPYS. I was like, I remember Aisha. I remember she moved out here because she was out here pursuing acting. So she had graduated from high school and came right out here to pursue acting, but we weren't talking at all. So I hit her up and I was like, "Hey, I'm out in LA, like chilling,
So
whatever. Like you gotta show me around because I ain't never been out here before." So we reconnected then, and like a couple months later, she had moved back to Charlotte, and I'm still at Davidson, which is like 30 minutes away. So we got to kind of keep it going. And from there, like we were just two kids just enjoying life together and not really knowing what was about to happen. And when I got to the league, like again, I'm just living my life, and as the spotlight starts to grow and all that, you're dealt with judgments and
mm-hmm.
expectations, and
Right.
everybody just wants to know every step you take and all that stuff. And it's kind of uncomfortable at times because as humans, you react to stuff like stuff that's said about you,
No, there's no
Mm-hmm.
question, especially your
and
family.
yeah, and
Right.
your family and all that type of stuff. And the person to me is like want to take it in stride, and like you don't want to react to everything because you'll lose your mind.
Right.
But you want to protect the integrity of y'all's relationship. We started, way back when. So it's an ever changing kind of thing for us because even as you bring kids in this world, like how are you going to raise them with this spotlight as well and keep their mind in the right
Perspective.
direction and
Right.
give them perspective and give them a chance to have a quote unquote normal childhood and stuff. So a lot of responsibilities, but God don't make no mistakes, man. And for
Right.
me,
It's a fact. God don't make any mistakes,
Mhm.
right? So lot of stuff to digest there in a little bit.
Mhm.
Do you have anything off the top of my or your head, or should I just go?
Um, I feel like the thing off the top of my head that I like the most about it is him saying like, "Man, looking back, it's crazy because we were really just kids living our lives,"
Yeah.
and I feel like that's I resonate a lot with that because I
Mm-hmm.
think just even us two having known each other for quite some time now, over a decade, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Looking back, I'm just like, we've manifested a lot of the things that we said we wanted for our lives, but
Literally.
it's like when looking back, it's like, dang, it's really crazy because like we just been living.
Mm-hmm.
Like say like two couple of kids just like having fun,
Right.
traveling around the world. And like, we've obviously made a successful business,
Mm-hmm.
have other businesses popping off, and we've come a long way, and it's just crazy to look back, and I'm excited to even get a couple more years out and look back to here and be like, dang,
That's a fact.
we were just getting on every week and just talking. Like now we got an award-winning podcast.
Come on, award-winning podcast. Manifest that.
Manifesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the one thing I took away of like, yeah, that's I think that's how you've kind of found the one is you
Mm-hmm.
just kind of live life and see where life takes you. But I mean, still planning. I'm a planner, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you just enjoy the everyday of living life with that person and
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how to meld what's like to
Meld.
put together meld, that's a word, right?
Yeah.
How to meld your two lives together and create a new one.
Listen, I've told you before, me and Miriam aren't on good terms, so I just use words incorrectly at this point, right? But 100% agree. Like, I feel like it's beautiful to find that partner, find your partner. Or they were talking about, and be like, you better get you an Aisha, right? Get
Mhm.
you a whoever the name is. I
Mhm.
got me a Sinclair, only one of them, right? Get you a whatever is needed for your life, for your manifestation. But they also talk about a little bit that extra pressure
Yeah.
of having the eyes on you and trying to have the kids grow up in a normal world, but also have a relationship where you can just enjoy it, even though they know everybody's watching,
Mhm.
right? How do people deal with that pressure?
I truthfully do not know.
Wow. Yes. Go
Like,
ahead.
I can't imagine having that type of pressure.
Hmm.
I feel like maybe everybody has had some micro form of this to where just like maybe you're whether it's a friend group or a classroom or a small community or a club or something where everybody kind of knows everybody's business and you
Hmm.
you feel a little bit on edge like so like just knowing how that feels on a very micro level. I can't imagine that on like a
World.
worldly level, like even your children, like everybody knows who your kids are.
Yeah.
Like I was on Instagram the other day on like on my explore page or whatever. I saw this video of Kylie Jenner, Travis, and their little girl,
Mhm.
Stormy. And just the random reporter was like, "Hi Stormy, hi pretty girl." And it's just like
Yeah, that's
that's
creepy.
weird.
Yeah.
That's weird to know like every single person, this little girl, this innocent little girl walking down the red carpet, every single person knows probably way more than they should about this child.
Right.
Like that's just weird.
I feel like, and I don't want to get to this level of famedom. Famedom? Is that a word too?
It is
Miriam, we
today.
not
It
rocking
is
with your
today.
dictionary. But what I'm probably gonna do, and I don't know if I should say this publicly, Queen, we can come up with another strategy after I say this publicly, is kind of like how most celebrities do, have your stage name
Mm,
and then have your real name.
mm.
And I feel like I don't want anyone outside of the family to know my kid's real name.
The government name.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how they're gonna know who's really talking to them and who's talking to the perception of them.
Mm.
Right. So if they're on the runway and everyone's like, oh hey, Truvel, da 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 da. Okay. I know you're kind of engaging with me as my outside perception,
Mm.
right? Whereas they call it, hey, Devon, or someone says Mr. Walker, then I'm like, oh, know me. Okay, let's actually have a conversation. So I feel like kids, and maybe this is what they do. Because Stormy, is that really their real name? I don't know.
I
Maybe,
believe it. That's with that family. I believe
maybe, or it's an alias name because they know they're already creating that separation,
maybe if
right?
they were smart.
and they are smart people,
Mhm.
right? I feel like the Kardashians, the Jenners, they are very smart in what's it called, strategic,
Mhm.
intentional family. They doing the thing. You know, some judgment, but they doing their thing. They're successful on a monetary level for sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Health Forever podcast. We hope you learned something valuable that you can take and implement into your life. Now, we've all heard that sharing is caring, and this podcast is no exception. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a stranger walking down the street, anybody who you think can level up from this message. As always, we appreciate your support, and we'll talk to you next week. Be well.